Welcome. Welcome new members, lifelong members, and everyone in between. Welcome, Jews by birth, Jews by choice, and all non-Jewish partners and family members. Welcome, LGBTQ members, and others marginalized in the past. It is a simcha, a joy, to be together in community. Many of you know of my lifelong intellectual fascination with Christianities. It comes from my advisor at Chicago, Christianities. As a professor of American history and religion at Trinity College here, I functioned for 20 years as a self-described nice Jewish boy teaching Protestantism to Catholic women, for which the punchline, of course, goes, yes, I earned a living for 20 years. Intellectual curiosities aside, though, for me, this synagogue, this house of assembly, symbolizes the primacy of the heart. 8 days after my birth in 1953, I was welcomed into this congregation when Isidore Kropsky, Rose Pell's father and Rob Pell's grandfather, generously insisted on paying for a bris at OZ that my parents, newcomers to Burlington, could otherwise not afford. Membership was likewise offered, with the gentle assurance that while my parents could not afford dues, the leaders of this congregation were confident that Milton L.E. Potash could and would pay their fair share when they were able. And they did. And I do. For my parents, over the next 5 decades, OZ became a home filled with lifelong and devoted friends. And when my mom passed away, my father created the L.E. Potash Fund, which my siblings and I renamed the Milton L.E. Potash Fund upon his death. Its intent is really quite simple: to uphold a most fundamental Jewish value, that their memories live on as a blessing, and their good works continue to inspire and shape the future. Here at OZ, my parents are very much alive, long after their deaths. They were very much alive in their ongoing dedication and support of education in the preschool, in the DAV, in their support of social action activities, including the upcoming Social Action Fair, which we'll be hearing about, the preservation of Jewish culture in the mural, the renovation of this joyful space. But tonight is not about my parents, and certainly not about me. It is about us. Our gathering tonight marks the 137th year we, as Vermont's longest standing and largest congregation, come together to attest to our shared and heartfelt sense of Jewish identity and Jewish values that continue to shape our lives. On one level, we challenge ourselves as individuals to accountability in correcting for errors and judgment and flaws in our personal actions, as we remember those in our families who inspired the best in us. And yet, at the same time, it is the core communal basis of Jewish practice that we assemble as a collective to pose an equally profound question: how can we as a community do better in the year and in the years to come? During the past 2.5 years, throughout this global pandemic, OZ has been tested on a scale of seeming biblical proportions. Our congregation's very survival called into question amidst our self-imposed isolation and our legitimate fears for individual well-being. For 2.5 years, those fears promulgated grave uncertainties over when or even if we might reassemble in full and meaningful community. And yet, here we are. Tonight we gather together, proof of our resilience as a community and our dedication to one another. Fears have been supplanted by hope. Now, while I have the privilege of standing before you, the fact is that the joy in OZ's rebound reflects the heartfelt outpouring of love and commitment that so many within our community feel. Far from waiting for others, they have led us in action. This action began with the many of you that inspired the board to develop Imagine 2025. It was your passion, your energy, your heartfelt support for OZ that is the foundation for our forward momentum. I've been overwhelmed at times by the number of congregants who have stepped up to partner with the board as we have emerged from this very challenging time. And if I have one message I want to leave you with tonight, it is that your involvement, small or large, is making a dramatic difference in strengthening and revitalizing this community. Joining all of us in creating our future is our staff. And I would like, on behalf of the full board, to express deep gratitude. First, to Rabbi Amy, in this her final high holiday with us, for her leadership during these challenging 2.5 years. Rabbi Amy has worked closely with us as we follow the blueprint of Imagine 2025 and meet the needs and wants of our congregation during this time of change that we and so many other congregations in America are working through. Our gratitude to our extraordinary staff, to Raul, to Erica, to Naomi, to Andy, to Karen, to our newest member, Sophie. Through your collective effort, we are providing a rich and diverse set of religious and spiritual services, life cycle, and teaching programs, and the many Jewish programs and events that are growing our community. We have an exemplary preschool program now when it's completing its 5th year. We have a growing and vibrant Hebrew school. We have a Nadav program and newly funded social program that allow our post-Bar Mitzvah teens to belong to community in meaningful and important ways. And we have a shuk that continues to express our unique vision for fostering social justice. And finally, our thanks to Cantor Steve, who has brought such joy and light to so many of us, especially our children. May his smile, song, and prayer return to us soon. So too, we are blessed by literally dozens and dozens of OZ members who have stepped up and on OZ's behalf. Members who are both thinkers and doers, working hard to design and fundraise for this new sanctuary space, to help us rethink how we can create a more welcoming environment throughout our entire space, to welcome our ever-growing numbers of new members, to expand our learning and social programs for adults, to re-energize our social justice commitment through outreach to other organizations, to create a positive work environment for our staff. So too, we are blessed with those volunteers and minion captains who allow us, I believe we're the only ones in the state of Vermont, to have a nightly minion service so that we can acknowledge yard sites. Our thanks, too, to our cemetery committee who has upgraded our Patchen Road Cemetery, one of our most sacred spaces. And finally, our thanks to our new rabbinic search committee made up of 12 members who reflect the diversity of our community. The magnitude of all these commitments parallels that of a full-time team, and we are collectively in their debt. I could easily go on, but I won't. You grasp the point. We are vibrantly alive, thanks to our volunteers, thanks to our donors, thanks to our visionaries, and we are flourishing. But we are far from done. Indeed, we will never be done. As a congregation, we can and must aspire to do better, and to make our home fully welcoming and supportive of our community's future. In a very real sense, our lost mural exemplifies our dedication to embrace our past and to frame our future. All the while our synagogue was closed, the Friends of the Mural serendipitously mounted a campaign to which so many of us contributed to complete the full and final restoration of what Madeline, wherever you are, said, called it, quote, a unique international treasure in Vermont, unquote. In its full and vibrant color scheme, its three-dimensional depiction of the biblical tent of the tabernacle, the earliest gathering place that served our people's needs during the 40 years in the desert and well beyond. Benzion Black's 1910 depiction, painted in the joyful style of synagogue art that is gone, but once proliferated throughout Eastern Europe, offers us the opportunity to literally walk through the mahogany pillars of the outer green tent and the outer courtyard into the Holy of Holies space containing the Ark and the Ten Commandments. Just so you know, it was not accidental that we chose the royal blue for the sanctuary carpet. It comes from the mural. It marks the start, the beginning of rededicating and upgrading this space and our facilities beyond. In the immediate term within this space, incidentally, there will be 35 beautifully crafted mahogany wooden chairs that are situated here in a short while, we promise. In the immediate term, we have a ramp that we must complete to render this space fully welcoming and accessible. There are issues, too, of lighting, of paint, of updated audio and visual capabilities, both here and within the small sanctuary. I remind you that in 1952, when this building became our home, it captured and communicated the modern vision of Rabbi Max Wall and this congregation to leave behind our small shtetl shul on Archibald Street and to construct a modern Jewish community center. There are two sanctuaries for prayer, one small, traditional, and the other open and modern. A self-contained school consisting of 6 classrooms, a kitchen, a multi-purpose social hall that could host weddings and large social gatherings, staged events, and in my memory, a full-size basketball court to inspire the fledgling Wizards of Oz basketball teams, to no avail, sadly. Today, it is time to revisit and to update our vision for a modern community center that services our needs in 2022 and for decades to come. We have begun and must continue to update our 2 sanctuaries to allow us to offer our congregants religious and spiritual options, traditional services, family services, musical services, Tat Shabbats. We must improve as well, you've seen it, our online capabilities to better serve those who see us from afar. Likewise, we must revisit our commitment to education. We all understand the value we place on education for empowering the youth in our community. And while we have created a truly outstanding preschool, thank you, Erica, and your teachers, it needs to grow to accommodate the needs of current and future members. We have a long waiting list. We must grow that facility. And you will be hearing shortly about our plans for expanding and modernizing our preschool facilities and updating our Hebrew school facilities. And like my parents, I hope many of you will seize the opportunity to inscribe your name upon that educational future. But there's more. Understand, as we approach 2025, we imagine many changes in the manner in which our building can address the future needs of this congregation. There are plans to transform the office into a Little Jerusalem museum with which to vastly increase visits from near and far. To relocate our offices to the new north entry, to improve that entry, to make it safer, to modernize our halls, always our classrooms, to add technology, to create a more welcoming lounge and coffee shop that I anticipate will serve nasharai from the kitchen. In the weeks and months ahead, you will also be hearing about plans to generate new supplementary revenue from our property behind this building. We have several acres. Our hope is that we can find additional ways with which to support this community in the future. I would remind you, we were gifted this extraordinary building, and we are charged with maintaining it as a modern center for Jewish prayer, for education, for socializing, and schmoozing, and for rededicating ourselves to our name, Ohavi Zedek, lovers of justice. A building, a campus, a Jewish community center can only be a home if we collectively believe and support it as such, our home. These are exciting times. We encourage you, we welcome you to join us on this journey, bringing to life the vision for the future. At this sacred moment in time, as we reflect on how we as individuals can be and do better, contribute, participate, and help more, let us too reflect upon our collective capacity to share our hearts to build a Jewish community for which we can all be proud. Let us set our collective aspirations high. In the language of Imagine 2025, let us strive together to foster the spirit of relational Judaism, grounded in the spirit of, quote, belonging through welcoming, meaningful, and joyous Jewish experiences, unquote. If we are to be remembered, we must do our best, individually and collectively, to leave our lasting mark. Please join me in being here now in the true spirit of community. I promise you, as I stand before you, you will receive far more than you give. A sweet and happy new year for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Beautiful.